Well, thanks for coming this morning. I appreciate it. I truly am going to try to be brief this morning so we can leave more time for questions. I know the questions are the most important thing. I do want to start with, we did issue another timely warning on Monday this week. I want to say that that is just absolutely unacceptable. We have a lot of work to do, obviously, to make certain that this behavior stops on our campus and on our community. We can come back to that if you want to. I want to spend some time this morning, a little bit of time talking about student success, affordability, and then something that we're going to roll out today that I hope you'll find exciting, because I find it exciting, and that's some new scholarship programs. A couple words about student success and affordability, because that's something that I've been focused on. It partially comes from my own background, but it certainly comes from the concerns that I hear everywhere I go. Without a doubt, affordability, keeping a higher education affordable for students today is something that is on the minds of many, many people, myself included. A few words about tuition. We've worked hard to keep tuition low here at the University of Iowa, and in fact, as I was looking recently at the U.S. News and World Report, the top 30 public universities, we have the second lowest tuition of any of those institutions on that top 30 list, which I'm very pleased about. Only Florida has lower tuition than we do. That's a great list to compare ourselves to, because these are certainly the top institutions, public institutions in the country that people look at when they're making decisions about where to go to college. So I'm pleased about that. We're going to continue to work hard to keep tuition costs down as much as we possibly can. That will play into my announcements about scholarships in a few moments, and I'll come back to that. Other things that help, though, to keep affordability high on our list, and things that we've been working really hard on: timely completion. I've talked about the four-year graduation rates here and how we've managed to significantly enhance our four-year graduation rate to the point now where we significantly exceed the national average on our four-year graduation rates, which is terrific. Timely completion, we know, is one of the factors that will contribute significantly to lowering the cost of a college education for students. It's why I challenged and continue to challenge our academic sector here now to look seriously at three-year degrees. And by the end of this academic year, we'll have some more announcements to make about which programs will lend themselves well to three-year degree options. That's, again, more on the timely completion issues. And let me say just a couple words about debt, because I think student debt is something that concerns everyone as well. It concerns me. The thing that I'm most concerned about is making certain that our students, when they enter into taking out student loans or looking at ways in which they can help lower the cost to their families of a college education, what's the best way to do that? And if they're going to take out student loans, let's help them understand how best to do that and what it means to take out student loans and what a reasonable amount of student loans might be for them. Now, why do I say that? Well, we know, for example, that as we look at our undergraduate student population, about 40% of our undergraduate students graduate with zero debt, which is about the national average. That's actually pretty close to the national average. And I believe it's the best of all the public institutions in the state. Now, of the remainder who are taking out loans, the average for a University of Iowa student is about $27,000 at the time of graduation. Now, we're able to look at that $27,000 and know from the federal forms that people have filled out exactly how much of that debt they needed to borrow to be able to complete their college education. So by the federal standards, need-based debt. We know that about $12,000 of the money that was borrowed is truly need-based debt. The remainder would be what we call non-need-based debt. I want to be absolutely certain that we're giving students and their families good advice so that they understand what they need to borrow to be able to complete their college degrees and help them do everything possible to reduce the remainder of that debt to the lowest possible number. Now, that being said, let me talk about scholarships, because this is another way, and a way that I've worked, and many others here have worked very hard on the last number of years to enhance the number of scholarships that we have available for students. Since my arrival and since the beginning of our comprehensive campaign, I would tell you that we have raised funds for over 430 new scholarship funds right now, which funds literally hundreds and hundreds of students. Those are private dollars. We're pleased to have those. We continue to raise money aggressively as part of this comprehensive campaign for scholarships, so that number is going to continue to grow as well. By the same token, our institutional grants and scholarships that we can make available to both resident and non-resident students, but primarily resident students. In 2007, we were giving out about $26 million in institutional grants and scholarships, and today we're giving out closer to $58 million. So it's more than doubled. And we're pleased about that, obviously. And today, what I want to do is announce some new scholarships and actually some tweaking to some existing scholarships that I think will be exciting, especially because two of these scholarships are what I call legacy scholarships. They're heritage scholarships. So if your mom or your dad or your grandmother or your grandfather graduated from the University of Iowa, or your stepdad or stepmom or legal guardian graduated from the University of Iowa, you will automatically be eligible for a $6,000 heritage scholarship spread out over 4 years. That's automatic. This is our attempt not only to encourage legacies to come back to the University of Iowa, as their family members have, but also to encourage those who've moved out of state to bring those kids back to Iowa. So we want legacies from all over. We want legacies not only from Iowa, but from all over as well. So there's a second piece to the Heritage Award program, and that's the President's Heritage Award. This will go to as many as 20 students, and this may grow depending on its popularity, and we'll have to see how that plays out. But this one, for students who are eligible to apply for presidential scholarships, these are our top students. These are the ones with very high ACT scores and very high GPAs in high school. They will be eligible for a second $6,000. So that means as much as $12,000 on the legacy side for a select group of very talented students. And again, doesn't matter where they come from. They need to be legacies. So those are the two new scholarships. I do want to mention, and we have a press release that we'll share with you that gives you details, so you can get a little more information from the press release. But we do have tweaking to some of the other scholarships that are out there. The Old Gold Scholarship, which is an automatic scholarship. If you're applying for the Presidential Scholarship, which means you have a 30 ACT score and a 3.8 GPA as a high school student, you're automatically eligible for an Old Gold Scholarship. Those are going up to $5,000 per year for 4 years. So imagine you're eligible for the Heritage and the President's Heritage, $6,000 over 4 years. Now you're eligible for the Old Gold, an additional $5,000 a year for 4 years. And a second one, the Iowa Scholars, which again is for high ability students, not quite as high ability as the Old Gold. This is sort of the next step, the 27 ACT score instead of the 30 ACT score. This one is going up to $3,500 a year from what it had been previously, and this is a significant bump up. It had been, the Old Golds had been $3,000 a year. They're going up to $5,000. The Iowa Scholars are $3,500 now. They were $2,000. And then we're going to introduce two more new awards. One is the Iowa Boost Award. This is $1,000 a year for Pell-eligible students. So these are need-based scholarships. These are for students who come from low-income families. They're eligible for the federal Pell Grant, and we're going to add $1,000 a year to their scholarship opportunities to make certain that we can cover the full cost of education for them. Similarly, we have been encouraging and trying to encourage more and more students to study abroad. So we have a new Iowa Abroad Scholarship, which will provide $1,000 in a year for students to study abroad. We know that the biggest impediment to studying abroad is buying that plane ticket, trying to get the actual funds to get to the place where they want to go. We think $1,000 will go a long way to helping offset the costs of making certain that study abroad isn't an impediment for students who don't have the resources themselves, or their families don't have the resources to help send them abroad. So those are the, like I say, we'll share with you this press release that has details. I'm excited, obviously, about the scholarship opportunities that we're putting in place. And I'm particularly excited in a week where we're going to have homecoming. We're going to have lots of alumni on campus to be able to announce these legacy scholarships. So